Tumblr Last Prohibition, America's Failed Experiment. The full story of the 18th Amendment and the War on Alcohol. Small Blue Diamond Chapter 1. The Birth of a Movement. 1820s, 1900s. The seeds of Prohibition were planted not in Washington, but in the homes and churches of early 19th century America. As the country expanded westward and industrialized, alcohol was a daily part of life. Workers were often paid in liquor, and drinking was embedded in social rituals. But not everyone welcomed its role. Starting in the 1820s, evangelical Christian revivalists and moral reformers began preaching against alcohol as a social evil. They linked it to violence, poverty, broken homes, and crime. These reformers, many of them women, saw alcohol as a root cause of domestic abuse and economic ruin. The temperance movement gained steam, leading to the creation of organizations like the American Temperance Society, 1826, the Women's Christian Temperance Union, WCTU, founded 1873, the Anti-Saloon League, ASL, founded 1893, the most powerful and politically connected group of them all. To many temperance activists, alcohol was not just a drink, it was a symbol of everything wrong with modern America, especially in the rapidly growing, immigrant-filled cities. Small Blue Diamond Chapter 2. Morality Meets Politics, 1900 to 1920. By the early 20th century, the movement to ban alcohol had transformed from a religious crusade into a political machine. The Anti-Saloon League focused not on converting hearts, but on pressuring lawmakers. It forged alliances with powerful Protestant churches, rural voters, and politicians needing support in key states. The movement gained strength from the belief that alcohol was un-American, especially as immigrant groups, Germans, Irish, Italians, were often associated with heavy drinking and saloons. The outbreak of World War I added fuel to the fire. Brewing was a German-dominated industry. Anti-German sentiment helped frame beer as the enemy. Grain needed for alcohol could now be redirected to feed soldiers. With political pressure mounting, Congress passed the 18th Amendment in 1919, banning the manufacture, sale, and transportation of intoxicating liquors. The Volstead Act, passed shortly after, defined enforcement and controversially set the legal alcohol limit at just 0.5%, effectively banning beer and wine. Small Blue Diamond Chapter 3. A Dry Nation on Paper, 1920 to 1929. On January 17, 1920, the United States officially became a dry country. But enforcement was a disaster from the start. Speakeasies, secret, illegal bars, opened by the thousands in cities. Bootleggers smuggled alcohol from Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Moonshiners made homemade liquor, often dangerously impure. Organized crime filled the gap, leading to the rise of gangs led by men like Al Capone, who made millions through illegal alcohol sales in Chicago. Corruption spread like wildfire. Police, judges, and politicians were bribed or intimidated. Many citizens, especially in urban areas, openly defied the law. Even U.S. presidents were rumored to serve alcohol behind closed doors. Rather than eliminating vice, Prohibition pushed it underground, making it harder to regulate and more violent. Small Blue Diamond Chapter 4. Social and Cultural Turmoil. The 1920s became a time of contradiction. On one hand, it was the Jazz Age, the era of flappers, cocktails, and Gatsby-style parties. On the other, it was a time of moral conservatism, racial tensions, and cultural backlash. Women, newly empowered by the 19th Amendment, 1920, began drinking in public, challenging gender norms. African American jazz culture thrived in speakeasies, but segregation and violence remained widespread. Immigrants were disproportionately targeted by Prohibition enforcement. Rural Americans, mostly supportive of Prohibition, became further alienated from the rapidly modernizing cities. Prohibition didn't just ban alcohol, it deepened America's cultural and political divisions. Small Blue Diamond Chapter 5. The Great Depression and the Collapse of Prohibition, 1929 to 1933. In 1929, the stock market crashed, ushering in the Great Depression. With unemployment skyrocketing and government revenues shrinking, the public began questioning the logic of Prohibition. Legalizing alcohol meant tax revenue and jobs. Crime, far from decreasing, had become more violent and entrenched. A growing majority viewed Prohibition as a failure, morally and practically. When Franklin D. Roosevelt campaigned in 1932, he promised to end Prohibition. Within a year of his election, Congress passed the 21st Amendment, repealing the 18th, the first and only time in U.S. history an amendment was overturned by another. Small Blue Diamond Chapter 6. Aftermath and Legacy. Though the nation celebrated with legal drinks, the effects of Prohibition lingered. It expanded federal law enforcement, laying groundwork for the modern FBI and organized crime units. Many states and counties kept their own bans. Some remain dry to this day. It demonstrated how legislating morality, especially without public support, can backfire. The era reshaped American attitudes toward freedom, privacy, and government overreach. Most importantly, Prohibition remains a cautionary tale. Even with good intentions, government policies can create unintended consequences far worse than the problem they aimed to solve. Final reflection. What did we learn? Prohibition began as a moral crusade to build a better, cleaner society. Instead, it bred crime, corruption, and division. In many ways, it was America's first major attempt at social engineering on a national scale, and a powerful reminder of what can happen when policy moves faster than the culture it tries to change.